Alrighty, hopefully everything's working correct here, guys. How's it going? I am Squeetee, the one and only, and you can find my stuff right here, squeetee.com. On Squeetee Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Yeah, Twitch. I said Twitter. Well, I'm on Twitter too. I don't really do much there, but come find my stuff there. Today we're going to be doing the May Ashes of Creation development update. We're going to do like a watch along together. The video is an hour and 17 minutes, so it's going to be a pretty decent sized video. It's not one of their longest streams, but it's a pretty good size. So we're going to be going through that. Make sure my audio's on. I accidentally uninstalled VLC player. Like I did it, but I didn't mentally think of like what the repercussions were when I did it, and obviously I used to use it for playing their videos. So now I got to just work with what I got. So we're going to play the video, go through it, have some commentary, let me know if the sound is weird or too much or little, whatever. Or if my sound is weird. Every time I don't stream all the time, and I've been trying to get into it, and every time I start up my stream or go to start it, it's like all my settings are wacky. And then it takes me like 30 minutes and I get frustrated, give up. But this time everything seems good, except for the VLC thing. I'm just going to move on with it. So obviously I can work around it. So let's see. My stream quality really crappy. I have a little Chromebook next to me, and I like to double check. Make sure. No, it looks fine. Okay, cool. Let us. What is this? Alright, let's get into it, and we'll start the video off and then watch along.
Hello and welcome, glorious Ashes of Creation community. We hope that you are having a wonderful month. Of course, this is our May development update. It has been a wild month for us. I feel like I say that every single time, but it's just like...
We do say it. We say it every time, and then we also say, after we say it every time, that we say it every time.
The wild thing to me is that we're almost halfway through the year, which is... nuts.
Yeah, that actually is crazy.
I'm sure everyone else is feeling that way as well. Almost everyone I talk to feels that way. But of course, with me as always is Stephen Sharif, our creative director, and I am Margaret Crone, your director of communications. We hope that you are excited for today. I know we've been teasing a little bit of what's to come, but as always,
I have no clue what happened in this
today
update,
is
by the way,
reminders.
so it's all new to me.
We will also be showing off our Cyclops combat.
We also have a guest star, the kitty cat in the back.
Yes, this is
Who's
George.
that?
I don't care about George.
George
is
literally
What's the
floating on a
Cyclops?
cloud.
He's lounging. I know, I got cloud vibes over here. I have Lucy on this side. She's Lucy.
They've been over to our house a few times for the live streams.
She's purring. Yeah.
Aw.
I'm trying to get her to not stand in my monitor way because she keeps doing that. And then we'll have our art update and studio update, and of course a little Q&A from our forums because y'all have been sending us some great questions. But before that, we will be talking a little bit about reminders, and we've got our spotlight today for our YouTube comment. So if you would also like to be spotlighted as a YouTube comment, you just need to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure that you have your subs visible so that we can see that you're a sub. And then leave us a comment on our development updates. So for May's development update, we will be selecting somebody for our next development update live stream. But this one is from Nice Gaming, who has actually been making some YouTube videos, which were like,
they are making YouTube videos.
Yeah, I've been watching those.
But when I was making videos, no one watched my videos.
No, thanks, Nice. We appreciate it. They also do a lot of other MMO content as well. But their question is, can there be leaderboard stats our leaderboards / stats tracking to track miscellaneous player stats such as dungeons completed, PvP kills,
Trees
caravans
chopped.
raided,
I don't think anyone
caravan
cares about
raids,
trees chopped.
caravans raided. There we go. Trees chopped, etc. And would these achievements be visible by other players?
That is a great question. So first, to give you a little bit of
First,
context on the development side, from our perspective, we track all of those things, and we track many more things very granularly from a logging perspective, because it helps to inform the activities that players enjoy doing, the things that they tend to stay away from, how long they tend to do those things. And a lot of companies use just that data to kind of inform direction over design choices.
makes sense.
I am very much a believer that you need to have correlating data that is essentially feedback directly from the player base, in addition to the logging and metrics that you can find from player activity to create a navigation already
Maybe
moving
everybody
forward.
likes
Now,
chopping
to
trees,
your
so why would you
question,
reduce the time it
which
takes?
of those stats will we expose to the player side? I think we have a lot of intention to, and we've talked about this in the past, to have a lot of these things shown to the players and be able to
Achievements. Just make
for those players
achievements.
to choose to share them or not through their character page on the website that we've talked about in the past as well. And those will include a lot of what
This
you mentioned
website thing
there. I think
for
it's
your
a
character, I
really
think
cool
so. I'm gonna be
component
really
that
excited
as
for
a
it.
player, I get to see how I stack up against other players in the achievements that I've accomplished in game.
How many trees
And
chopped? I got it.
there's ways to make that that a bit more time focused, to where you're not just getting the gross data, but you're also getting like essentially seasonal data, or partitioned via time. I think that's something that's super cool, and it helps
I agree.
provide motivation for players to achieve things in game. So yes, we will be embracing those types of leaderboards and stats
Do it.
exposed to the players for Ashes.
Yes, it will be a lot of fun. We have many dreams that we want to do with game to web and game to mobile, in regards to showing stats
Game
and
to mobile.
making things shareable
That
for
would be
you.
fun.
We know how social media works, how sharing content with friends works. But those things will all come in due time. Just a fair warning on that front.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if you have things that you'd like to see, I think we did do a dev discussion in the past regarding kind of like what features you'd like to see in a mobile app or things like that. Um, those things would be super helpful. So if you want to head back over there and give us some comments, we would appreciate it. And of course, we have been doing dev discussions. Our latest one was on the Mage. So if you have not gotten a chance
Is
to
it just me,
pass your
or is that
feedback in
beard
there, I know we already
really
started
weird?
compiling all of that feedback, but you're welcome to still pop in there. Even if the discussions have already been wrapped up, we don't want you to stop the conversation. Please continue. Our next
And by the
dev-
way,
oh, go
I
ahead.
just do want to comment real quick.
Yeah.
For those of you who have been participating in that discussion along the Made Showcase from last month, really exemplary job. I mean, that discussion was well done. I was reading through the responses. It was well articulated from a lot of you around the things you enjoyed, the things you'd like to see improvements on, the examples from other games that you enjoyed. Like, that thread was a treasure trove of player feedback. And I just want to say, you guys, those of you out there who participated in that discussion, kudos to you. Thank you very much. It is a very instrumental tool that the community team has an opportunity to concisely bring together and provide the developers. It is very helpful. And those of you who didn't participate in those discussions, totally fair, but I would encourage you in the future to get engaged, because there's nothing more valuable than hearing from you guys what you enjoy and what you'd like to see done differently. And I would say today's demonstration is not going to be any different. So as you guys kind of watch what we show you today, it's going to be very helpful for you to jump back in on the forums and across social media and give us your thoughts, because that's why we are doing this transparent development process, is to collect that feedback.
Yeah, and we've also been doing an office hours. We recently started advertising that on our social medias as well. And
we've also been doing
Bachner
an
and
office
Roshan have been doing a
hours.
great job with
We
that
recently-
pilot program. So if it's something that you're interested in, where you can actually like come in and
My bad.
talk
I'm
and,
playing
and
another
answer some of the
stream
questions
while
as
they're
well,
blabbing about
instead of
this.
just posting on
Yeah.
the forums, you have that avenue. We know not everybody wants to type up a forum post, so if you'd rather talk and speak, that's another opportunity for you as well.
Yeah, and one of the
Well,
last
that's
things,
what I'm gonna notice.
forgive me if I stand a little bit on a soapbox, but I, as a player of MMOs as well as we all are here at Intrepid, I get excited about announced projects and upcoming games that are coming out, and sometimes through normal development, there is not a level of transparency or insight into the moment-to-moment gameplay that's being expected on behalf of the player's side.
Most games.
And I think that that's a really missed opportunity. And I would speak to the executives out there, to other developers who have a voice in the projects that they're participating in, to try to champion this thought of engaging with your community earlier on. And the reason for that is because it's very difficult to pivot away from a direction when that direction has been manifest, has been created, is ready to ship. It's I know there's downsides to it, and there's a level of investment that's required. But if something gives you an opportunity to early on understand what the customer wants, that is a golden holy grail available to you. And it is doing nothing but servicing the genre and the people, the beloved gamers who spend their free time, their hard-earned free time, enjoying these games, for them not to be surprised when the game comes out. Nobody wants to be surprised by what they're looking forward to, and a lot of time the hopium that we have around something we haven't seen before, or what we're expecting, is it lives up to our highest mountain peak of hope in our minds, and then when we see that thing, sometimes it's a bit deflated. But if you provide insight during development so that players have an understanding of what to expect when that game launches, then you mitigate a significant portion of the risk that's entailed in the creation of these massive projects, because you can identify where your approach resonates with a consumer base. I know it's a soapbox,
that's very true.
I just feel recently, I had hopes as well, and I feel like it's a good point to make. Yes.
I think sometimes he preaches his open development. I think if he was truly more open, he would have released some sort of Alpha 2 already, personally.
Loved about working at Intrepid and working for
I know, even if it was buggy, we could stumble our way through as a group
companies where
and make the game better.
Not respected,
and he would get the free Q&A testers.
What a community team does and the feedback.
Because I know a community, if he released Alpha 2 to everybody and said, guys, here's what we got right now. We're going to update it when we feel like we got good chunks of updates ready. And then everybody's like, I think the community would understand. Be like, all right, guys, we'll be your Q&A testers. Let's experience the game. Let's have fun. Let's make it better together. They could save a ton of money on development. If they gave us a checklist of like, all right, guys, we need people to test this dungeon and try to break it. And then you get 3,000 people, or let's say 300 people, whatever, is playing that night. Everybody just runs over that dungeon. Maybe they're doing farming all morning, or it's a Saturday. And the checklist says, all right, we need this many people to test this dungeon and just try to break it. And, you're going to get a lot of people who are just kind of like normal, average, everyday Joe people. And they'll just play the game and they'll just beat the dungeon. But then you'll get those, I don't want to say anal players, but you'll get the really experienced MMO players. They'll be like, I wonder if I could jump on that rock, jump to that rock, and then fall through the wall. And they're going to do it and then find that you can fall through the wall and then report it. And then do all this stuff. I think that would be really big help for Intrepid in a development way, and it would appease a lot of the people that kickstart people from that have invested in this game, that they get a little more of a taste earlier on, and they can feel more invested, and they'll probably spend more money on it. Really, I think that would be a huge plus for
they
them.
can relay, and the social media
So.
team what their feedback can provide to the development team.
That's my opinion.
If developers don't take that, I mean, you don't have to take you don't have to take it word for word. Like, just because people think something is overpowered doesn't mean you have to take action and make it make it underpowered, right? It's kind of thinking about that feedback and reflecting on it and making better decisions about what you're doing moving forward. Not
I hope I don't
necessarily
get a
saying you have to
work
do exactly what the players want. It's
But
taking
if I
things,
do,
analyzing,
I
and
got my
assessing
graphic
that
ready.
feedback.
Work
Yeah,
call.
and you know,
Work
I see in
call.
chat some people are saying, "Oh, shots fired." You know, they're mentioning some of the other games. It is not in any way, shape, or form my intent to shoot shots, if that's what the
Shoot
proper phrase is.
shots.
My desire is to help the genre and the executives that make these decisions, because, you know, a lot of times we think, oh, it's the developers. Well, it's not really the developers. It's the executives, or, you know, the executives that kind of make these decisions. And for, you know, they're constrained. They have fiduciary responsibilities to shareholders. They have, you know, projects, and they need to keep track of, like, the, you know, proprietary information and designs and the KPIs and all those things. Understandable. But if one thing can be demonstrated through Ashes of Creation's development process, it's that we have garnered a large community of interested and resonated gamers who want to play this game, and we have a very clear picture of where that interest lies. We know who doesn't want to play it. We know the negative feedback we receive. We try to act on that negative feedback, right? But without the lines of communication being open, all of that is in the dark. And it's just not a place where a development
thanks
that
for
can
liking
take
Facebook there,
5,
Mr.
6,
Paul Schultz.
7, 8 years should ever be before launch, is to be in that dark place. It's so antithetical to this concept of made for gamers by gamers. Like, that is the core philosophy behind the development of a game like this, and to keep those doors shut just doesn't make sense, and it creates an insurmountable mountain of risk when that game eventually launches. So I
There's a
didn't want to turn
balancing
this.
act
I'm
to
not
it,
shooting
though.
shots. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, totally.
Because there are
we don't
downsides to being
show
an open development too. There,
right.
you know,
and to be perfectly honest, like, we don't show gray box levels and, like, our, you know, fundamental prototyping, like, because it doesn't convey something that we can elicit a good response from, right? We want to show the things where we can collect actionable feedback that we can parse through, right? And that we can say, okay, this is the direction we were already on. Good thing it resonated. Or, wow, we were really off base here. We need to change some things up. And we better do that, because the life cycle of our game and the longevity, the lifetime value of the customer is at stake for that reason. So, you know, I want to take this opportunity, because it's not often that I have the opportunity once a month here to speak with you guys, but also to potentially speak with any executive that might be listening. This is not a bad thing to engage the customer earlier. These players,
Now I see why
MMO
the stream is
players,
so long. He's
understand
got a
to a degree
soapbox.
what development entails, and especially if you invest a bit in that conversation. You have the directors participating. You have an investment in community teams earlier on, before the community is actually playing something, to help garner that feedback and to parse it for the developers. Like, there is a treasure trove of information to be had amongst your consumer base. Engage with it. And then you can mitigate the risk.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to shoot shots. This is not a me shooting across the bow in the industry. I have love and respect for my fellow developers and fellow companies. I am just trying to offer what I feel is constructive feedback to help ensure that the genre gets the games it deserves.
Yeah. And people, you know, developers want to make a great games. Like Steven said, it's not always, you know, on the individual. Sometimes you're doing what is asked of you. So it is a struggle on both sides of the front. But of course, we have so much more to show you, and I'm sure we'll have many more soapboxes in the future as well. But my last, I think we will. We have thoughts. We have things that we want to do, and
Too many thoughts.
I think that we want to, you know, make the industry better as best.
I mean,
as
I
we
agree
can.
totally with
And, you know,
Steven, so I don't have
like Steven
anything
said,
to
right now, this is our platform
throw
that we
in.
have, but you know, we'll be doing more streams in the future as we get closer and closer to launch and post
Is
launch.
that a bat?
But
Just
My
realized it.
final reminder is that we do have our Legion of the Rose. It's scheduled for June 14th at
I don't
11
like
a.m.
any
Pacific.
of
We'll be
these
swapping it over with the next set. And
stones.
of course, these are all
Especially
things that
this
you'll
armor.
see as
It's
NPCs,
horrible.
creatures, buildings in the world. They help us
Sorry,
build out
but
the
I
world of
just
Vera.
don't like
We'll have
it.
different variants of them. And actually, you're going to see some stuff in our art this week, which is really exciting. That is similar to some
Combat
of those things.
update, combat, or
And with
whatever this
that,
is. Let's go.
let's talk a little bit about Cyclops. And if
What
you
is a
want,
Cyclops?
Steven, I know you wanted to
Yes,
kind of do a little
I-
preface.
I do want to preface this, and I think guys and gals out there, it is very important that you help convey this message to those who might discuss what they see here and across social media and discords. The purview of this demonstration is the first world boss you will encounter in the Riverlands area. There are 4 starting areas in Ashes of Creation, as you're well aware. But this is a level
One of
30
the starting.
Cyclops raid boss, which means its
Oh.
intended encounter design is between levels like 22 and 34, 35.
Okay.
And
I like that's a big range
you're
of
going to
players.
see a host of abilities. You're going to see and try to keep an eye out for this, right? You're going to try to find some tree strikes, some kicks and tree slams, a totem charge, the root shear, some spore sprays, stomps and call spirits, the enraged
Stomps.
root
Waiting for
prisons
that.
and the root fissures and the enraged phase with his roar and stomp frenzy and the totemless charge. You know, there's calling of dire spirits. There's a lot of different actions that can be taken by this raid boss. What we want to elicit from you is when you've encountered the raid bosses in other games, what did you enjoy most about those? Where do you see that occurring in this demonstration? And where do you see room for improvement?
Sounds good.
One thing I do want to convey, these 3 points, is earliest raid boss you see. 2 is we're all GMs. It's intended for a full raid. But we have 2 groups that are fighting it because it's a little bit difficult for us to corral all of our developers internally to jump in and
Fair enough. So it's a full raid though.
To jump in and take away time from the development. So we use a little bit of overpoweredness there. But then the third thing is the ambience, how this boss moves around the world, right? It's not just in a centralized location that's its arena per se. Like this is a roaming monster. So take those 3
It's
things
one of
as
those
you're
roaming
watching.
Okay.
Think about
cool.
What did you
I do
enjoy?
want to clarify though, because people are saying GM. We're not using GM hacks though in this battle.
not GM
just to be
hacks.
clear, he's just saying we're GMs, as in all of these are developers that are going to be like we're all game masters.
Yes,
we're not players.
Correct. And we're powerful, very powerful,
Okay.
but not GM hacks.
So they're they're OP.
No, we just know all the mechanics. So.
Well, yeah,
exactly. We know what we're coming up against.
It. Yeah, exactly. So we had a lot of fun. I think you guys are going to enjoy it, and yeah, we'll be on after to chat with you about it.
All right. See you.
And this is a good enough video. I could make a whole reply video to it. Ooh, that'd be a good idea. All right, let's see what we got here, folks. Is this loud?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream in the world of Vera. I am joined today by 3 glorious developers. Actually, we have quite a few of our developers participating in today's live stream. I'm not going to go through everyone. You'll see their usernames, their game handles on the top left side in our raid UI. But I have 3 amazing developers who are joining us today that have all taken part in helping to design the Cyclops and the combat that goes around.
Wait, who's Moose
I know
Testicles?
you guys in the community have been very excited to kind of see
Moose
today's demonstration.
Oh, I thought
We're
it was
not
Moose
gonna
Testicles. That'd be hilarious.
Get too elaborate in the designs of the Cyclops raid because we don't want to spoil it for you. But just as a disclaimer, this is one of the very first World Raid bosses that'll be available for players to participate in. So this is not super endgame, but it is going to give you some insight into how we're designing these encounters.
Sounds good.
And first up, we have one of our senior designers, Mr. Doug. How are you doing, Doug?
Doug.
Good evening. I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited to show this off. We've been working on it for a while, and so
yeah. I'm super excited for you guys to show it off too. I know you guys have been hard at work on this one and a lot of other creatures. And this is your first time joining us on the stream, isn't that right?
That is correct. I have not streamed before.
Super exciting.
So
We have a
they're level
stream virgin with
15s.
us. Very cool. We also have with us one of our glorious senior technical designers, Mr. Jason. How you doing, Jason?
Hey, how's it going?
And
What's
you
up, bro?
are the this one's your baby, right? This Cyclops was kind of your design.
Yeah, been plucking away at him for a while.
I remember the first time we chatted about this guy. You had such a great kind of premise for his backstory and the design elements of it. I thought it was super cool. I love the detaching tree, which our viewers are going to see in a little bit. So I'm super excited that you have an opportunity to kind of talk with the community
Detaching
about
tree,
this and
does
get
he
their
take his
take
arm off and
on
then
some of his
start beating
designs.
people with it?
And then we
'Cause
have
I-
one of our regularly occurring senior designers on the combat side, Mr. Trad. How you doing, Trad?
Mr. Crowd.
Doing great. Good to be back as always.
Yes, welcome. So we find ourselves here in the Riverlands.
But it's snowy.
And it appears to be a winter time. It's beautiful.
What's in the
Actually,
background?
I really like it.
What's
So
that,
one of
caravan?
the first things I would love to chat with you guys about is kind of how you set up this particular raid boss, the Cyclops, in the Riverlands. Talk to me a little bit about his pathing. Like, where does he live in the world? What's his backstory?
Spiders.
Just
Watch
tell
out.
me things about him.
Yeah, I think you could take this one, Jason.
Oh, so yeah, like the Cyclops, his name is Tumok, and a long time ago, he, is from the land of Sujoma, and that's where like all the Cyclopses are from. He decided it would be a good idea to try to align himself with the ancients that invaded Vera. And he took some of his followers to follow in his footsteps, and that didn't work out so well for him. He's the last remaining Cyclops of his people he took to try and join the ancients, and the rest of his people kind of exiled him for
Pulse
that. And didn't want
Cop
him back.
96.
So, kinda
Thanks for
all
the
on his
follow on
own,
Twitch. I appreciate it.
and has kind of paid for some of those mistakes of misaligning himself. And
Okay, so he's got a little bit of a backstory, some pain in there, maybe some betrayal, and
I like the
guess he kind of
backstory.
turned against
Simple.
his fellow citizens of Vera. Where are you guys at, by the way? I know we have a couple parties that are hanging back at the camp. Oh, there you guys are.
You
Why
were
don't you come
looking
join me
right
over
in.
here? I wanna talk a little about kind of his pathing, and I noticed that there are also some like winter spiders over here or something. What is going on over here?
Yeah, so there are some giant spiders over here, and one thing that we'd like to demonstrate today is that, not every enemy in Vera is going to just behave like they're simple, aggro immediately and beeline for you. The giant spider might not necessarily want to engage these scary looking adventurers. So he's going to stand off and, hope that
That's
you,
cool.
back away. And
Oh, that is so creepy. I love the
I
animal.
love
So
that. That's
he's
such a cool
he's kind
concept.
of not necessarily aggroing, but he's just like, don't come any closer.
It's like
Yeah.
peacocking.
back off, get away from me.
Yeah, he is kind of peacocking. I'm set to invulnerable because I want us to be able to kind of walk with the Cyclops as we see him start to path here. But
That's really
I
cool.
Wild animals just, not every single wild animal is going to immediately beeline for you. And so that's the kind of behavior we want to capture, some more ambient behaviors you might not expect to see in an MMO. Maybe some creatures
Yeah, 'cause
hunting
always
each
in-
other, these
Your
kinds of,
enemies just attack you.
more believable behaviors from
They don't.
wild
They just
animals.
jump at you. They don't.
that's super
It's
cool.
not a.
Ooh, yeah, I like them. That's awesome.
It's
It
not
adds
like
an
real life
element of
nature.
immersion, I feel like.
But this is giving that.
So-
If you do stay within their range or get too close to them, then they might defend themselves. So
That's super cool. So talk to me a little bit about the Cyclops and its path and how you guys kind of determine, where
follows
this
the
guy's
road.
going to roam and why it's an important aspect that the boss is kind of roaming through the woods, or through the world.
yeah,
Oh, I
so
figure.
we work with the world team to decide what that path is going to be, and we want to make sure that that there's something of interest. No
There he
matter
is.
where you go, no
Put
matter
yourself invulnerable just in case. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're good.
no matter where you look, no matter what path you go down, that there's always a chance you're going to see something you didn't expect or you.
Oh
didn't
no,
see
not the
before.
trees.
So
Oh, I love this guy. He's so massive. And I like how he kind of walks through the trees, triggering their destruction.
Oh, you barely touched that one and you
That's
you
so
knocked
cool
it
to
down. That's
interact with the
great.
environment like that.
Yeah, definitely gonna help you to listen. You can just listen in the woods, and if he's patrolling around, you're gonna hear him.
Oh my gosh, this guy's huge. Now, oh, sorry, my bad. I thought for a second there he was going to aggro me. But just so you guys are aware in the stream, I've set myself to invulnerable so that we can kind of just walk near him and see his massive nature. And Doug, Jason, talk to me a little bit about the inspiration for this guy as a character model. Like, what were you guys, working with the character teams to kind of? I notice he has this massive tree. Talk to me a little bit about that element.
Yeah, I think that was actually a little bit improvised in the design based on what the character came back with, Jason, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah,
Poor
when
Jason.
the character artists were making this, they had this cool idea of just having this giant tree weapon that a Cyclops would hold. And we took that idea and just kind of embraced it, make it part of his character and the embellishments that he wears, and using that to kind of inform what type of encounter that he might be. So we ended up making the tree like a pretty core part of it, and informs
really
some
cool.
of his combat
I think
abilities.
the tree is a little
and
too
phase transitions
my
even
opinion.
in the fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a collaborative process. Sometimes it's design asking for something specific from art, and sometimes art is what informs the design. So
That's really
he
cool.
looks great.
It does look
Did a
big, though.
great
I
job
mean,
with this.
like,
Do you know
looks like
who's the
there's
character artist that worked on this? Was it Keith? I think.
Food on here? I don't know what's that.
Was
Is
that
up there.
Keith, or could have been Jency or somebody?
Yeah, they did a great job either way. I mean, it looks looks phenomenal. I know we have a couple of parties that are going to assist us with this particular fight. Talk to me a little bit about this
you guys gonna
encounter
pick 'em
as a
up?
raid boss. What is the expectation from the actual raid size that
There's
that
obviously
you
going
guys
to
are
be better
anticipating for
places
the
to fight
design?
him than
I think that's gonna
in the world.
vary depending on the level of the raid, obviously, and then sort of how geared they are. But we're kind of aiming for somewhere between 16 and 32,
okay.
probably depending again on level and equipment.
Very cool. So this guy's a really early kind of world boss, and we want to introduce players early to the idea of these raids. And by the way, as we're kind of chatting about this, those of you who are going to be helping us defeat this guy with our two parties, if you want to start heading over to the arena, we are waiting here for
The
you.
arena?
I will set myself off of the GM invulnerability here.
Yeah, but what if you jumped him in the middle of the forest? You would have a totally different
There we go. Hopefully I don't
experience.
It's important, as we were talking about, to kind of introduce players into what raiding really means in Ashes, and talk to me a little bit about kind of the general design approach that you take with creating these types of encounters. There are obviously phases, there's different elements in those
little
phases
footsteps.
that kind of change dynamically the way
His
you want
feet
players
are a
to
little
interact. What are we going to see
weird.
here a little bit?
So is his.
Yeah,
They
this is
look
definitely
weird.
like a more introductory raiding experience. So it's not going to be too complicated, but I think there are some really interesting mechanics regardless, and I think Jason can talk about those.
Yeah. So when I first started designing this guy, we had Trad and the other guys on the archetype team looking at forming the classes that people have been seeing over the live stream, and really before those kind of come to fruition, and knowing what the full abilities
Where's
are
the
and everything,
team?
I started the design with the core
there they are.
trinity in mind. So the roles are very obvious. Tanks will tank, healers will heal, and DPS will try to take down the targets that they need to. And starting from there, I try to keep that in mind, not to overcomplicate it, so that they always have that like individual trinity idea amongst.
He's
the
like,
different
look at me,
mechanics.
guys. I'm a mage.
Yeah, so we got some classic staples in here. We've got ads that off tanks are going to have to peel off, and crowd control that's going to need to be applied to those ads.
You can tell
We've got priority
Steven's,
targets that are going to pop
a
up
guild
and need to
leader.
be killed. We've got damage that's going to be unavoidable, so that even with
You
the
can you can
expert
just tell.
group that can dodge all of his avoidable attacks, the healers are still going to have work to do to keep everyone alive.
Very cool. Very cool. Love it. You guys will notice, obviously, on the stream that there have been some updates to a little bit of the nameplates that Colby and the UI team have implemented, as well as
I don't know
some
if I
of the
like the
targeting
dark
plates
color.
as well.
Or
But
the light
who
color.
do we have as our tank today?
That would be me. Doug will be
Ooh,
tanking.
Doug will be tanking. All right.
So it looks
all
like
right,
we've
very
got a
cool.
main tank,
And then
and
we
an
also
off tank.
have I'll be playing as a mage,
a bunch
but
of mages.
I will be trying to capture some good shots of the encounter to a degree.
A lot of archers.
Chad, what are you playing?
I am a mage as well, just like you.
Oh,
Oh, okay, very cool. And then how about you, Jason?
I'm playing the cleric.
Nice.
healer.
Well,
Okay.
Doug, I don't want to stand in the way of your greatness, so please, by all means, sir, you may commence when ready.
All right, Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy, let's do this.
We got
Try
it.
not to let me die, Jason.
Yeah, no promises.
I do like. It looks like
He's
Jason
an
had a health
angry
bar up.
Tumok.
For Doug.
Oh my God, that
Oh,
looks
that
like
tree.
it hurts.
Yeah, if you don't block that, you get smushed.
Smushed.
I love
300,000
his
health.
animation. So, talk to me a little bit about
Oh,
some of these
tree.
attacks. What do you got going on here, Jason and Doug?
Oh, charge.
So yeah, his first phase here, he has a lot of physical attacks, but he also employs a lot of attacks using his tree, like we see there.
That was like an
with the
area
roots hitting
stun.
us. And right now, you can see he's pulling some fungus out of the tree and using that to heal himself.
Oh,
He has a tank spike
That's cool.
attack where he smashes the tree into the tank that Doug was blocking earlier. And generally does a lot of like AoE
oh
splash
charge.
damage that other melee will want to avoid and not stand together.
Yeah, he's not
Oh,
particularly
it's not a
complex
is it a
raid
stun or
boss,
is it a
but
root?
he's a
I'm not
great
sure yet.
example of sort of what we want to do with large creatures in Ashes. Having them interact with the environment,
Uh-oh.
having that camera shake, that those knockdowns that make it feel like he is here and he is
What
crushing
is
you.
that? Is that like a dot he's putting out? Or is that his heal?
no, he looks. Oh my
Oh.
God, he keeps just charging
He-
there.
He's picking someone.
just
It's probably
barely
like
missing
second
him.
highest threat or third
Now-
highest.
Talk to me a little bit about kind of the raid boss designs. Like,
Crush.
you guys are working with multiple stages.
That was
I
good.
noticed that right now he's just kind of, roaming around. He has different targets on his hate list. Tell me, like, what's your
Oh.
general
Oh,
philosophy?
his
How
hate
did you
list.
guys
I thought he
approach
had something
this?
special.
Yeah, so I think Jason did this a little bit earlier, but
Another
we
charge.
designed this boss pretty early on when a lot of the classes were still in their sort of nascent form. So we really just wanted to
Roots.
focus on the Trinity, making sure that everyone has a purpose in this raid, a role.
Oh no, the
whether you're
tree's
someone
down.
who's focused on CC, whether you're a tank,
What's the
a
tree
healer, a DPS, giving those classic
80K?
mechanics to give everybody a job in the raid. Like right now, for instance, he's put this tree down, and there are going to be these healing caps that appear, and those are going to be a priority objective for DPS to take down before they grow to full size, because if they do, he's going to go over, he's going to stomp them, and he's going to get healed
Healing
for a huge
cap?
percentage of his health.
Wow.
That's cool. Okay,
So we
I
gotta
like
take
that.
this tree out because he's just gonna
I
keep
like the
healing.
roots.
Yeah, and
Obviously,
he's
they're
definitely going to
dynamic,
switch over to those
because you
healing
can fight
caps
this
when
guy
they
anywhere.
appear. There it
That's
is.
super cool. So he heals off of the mushrooms as well.
Yeah, and as a player, if you destroy them,
No, not
or
the
even
tree.
if he stomps on them, if you happen to be nearby when they blow up, you can get that heal as well. So, if you're taking some damage from the thorns from the tree, or you got hit by one of his large, stomp attacks, you might have a chance to get healed up if you run over to
That's
those
really
mushrooms
cool.
before they blow up.
Okay, we almost have this tree down. Come on, guys, focus
Steven,
it down.
follow the ball.
Focus major DPS on the tree. try
Spirit
to kill
Wolf.
this
What's the
thing.
Spirit Wolf?
It's almost done. Get it before he picks it up. Yes, everything. Release it all. Oh, well done. Uh-oh. Oh
He's
my
got
not happy.
now.
God. Why is he so mad?
He broke his
It
tree.
is not like when you break his weapon.
What the heck?
I mean, who would?
Jason, where'd you get the idea for the kind of tree totem?
A lot of that came from the original design that we got from character art. In that we really enjoyed the way that it synergized with his look, so we wanted to employ the use of the tree
now
as,
he's gotta
as like
charge
a core
without
part
his
of
tree.
his encounter.
I feel like
I mean,
he's
it
taking
using
less
it as like
damage,
a
but I'm not
magical,
sure.
like a magical tree where he gets a lot of his abilities, but without that,
Big
he seems to
stomps.
get really mad, and his more primal Cyclops giant nature comes back, as we see here.
Wow, that's cool. So talk to me about those kind of slams that
Spirit
he's doing.
Wolf.
And also, I noticed, like, as he's running
What
around,
the hell?
the trees are falling, the stone obelisks are kind of getting destroyed. Is there intent for these kind of
Where's the
environmental
spirit wolf?
hazards to exist as well as part of the raid design?
Yeah, absolutely. For our large creatures, cyclopses, dragons, things like that, we want to make sure that the world feels dynamic and it's reacting to their big size. If a huge, 20-meter tall beast is walking through the woods and not knocking down a single tree, that just doesn't feel
That doesn't
believable.
feel
So
good
we
at
want to
all.
make sure that, you're going to hear that, and that's going to be a way you can know in the distance there's something that you want to go and investigate.
That is super cool. I died, but I'm on my way back.
I didn't even know.
No,
Do
those slams hurt really bad.
Yeah,
We got a
one of the
glitch
aspects
guy
of
right there.
the phases in this fight is actually that he has those healing abilities when he has his totem tree, his nature magic, but and he is more primal when he's in this phase. As a result, you can take him down a little quicker when he's enraged, but it's also going to be a lot more incoming damage for your healers to work through. So,
Yeah, that's
depending on
true.
your raid composition, your equipment level, you might want to sustain longer in that earlier phase, even if it takes a while through all that healing. Because if you push him too early, you might just wipe.
Okay. Oh, almost got
I
him.
love it, guys.
Here he goes again.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Finish him.
God.
Wait, just beat
Oh.
Steven in the ground there?
I was getting crushed there.
Oh,
It was right under his fists.
Oh, this poor guy.
It'd be cool when he
Look
landed, if
at
it made like a
him.
crater, like some boom,
His little eye.
something.
Wow, that was very cool. Well done, guys. That was awesome. Does he have any loot? Can we loot him? I wonder.
Loot!
Sword of the Briarholm, a longbow, a short bow, and a mace.
A little bit of everything
Ooh,
for everyone.
Very nice. Well, that was a lot of fun. Very well done. I thought that was very cool. Guys, as you guys are watching this, remember, obviously this is one of the earliest
Green?
world bosses in
Okay.
Ashes of Creation that you'll have an opportunity to
You
encounter,
rolled
just
pretty
getting your
high.
feet wet and what the raid boss system's going to look like. We have a lot of fun designs that are intended with a lot of
That was
different
pretty
creatures.
cool.
But give us your feedback. What are the raid bosses you enjoyed in other games that you've
I don't know.
played?
I like that
What
whole
about the
combat.
mechanics? What about
Obviously,
the
it's
phases
early on.
that you thought were cool? What did you enjoy seeing here today?
I take my gun out.
And what would you like to see in the future?
Done with it.
But
Throw that out.
otherwise, Trad, Jason, Doug, thank you guys for joining us and giving us a little sneak peek under the hood of the encounter design, particularly as it relates to Tumok the
Excuse me.
Wretched. I thought that was
I like the
super
loot system.
cool, a lot of
A
fun.
lot.
And I look forward to seeing more from you guys in the future. But with that being said, I would like to thank you all, and we will see
That
everyone
whole
back on
raid, that
stream
whole
here
combat
in
was pretty
just a
cool.
moment.
I like the whole setup. I liked
Bye,
it all.
everybody.
Good
Thank
time.
you.
Obviously, it's early, so there's like that weird glitching where that one guy was stuck in place running, which honestly I've seen games that are 10 years old
Welcome
do
back.
still.
I hope
So
that you all enjoyed. It seemed like you did. I
f-
wanted
par
to
for the
clarify
course, I
a
guess. I
few
don't know.
things because I know that there were some comments in regards to a couple things, and then there were quite a few questions. So Stephen will answer some of those as well. But
I'm
for
ready.
clarifications, obviously we recorded this in 4K. We will be uploading it in 4K on YouTube. I know there were some comments regarding graphics. We were. You saw that this time we showed 3 different perspectives of different folks. So we kind of had to figure out a different recording system in order to make sure everybody's quality was the same level. It's the different PCs. So just keep that in mind. But we
Yeah,
will
but aren't they all at
upload
work?
that
So
after
you think
this
they'd all have
stream.
standard PCs?
In regards to the no GM comments, I meant no, we didn't use commands during the Cyclops fight, not necessarily before that. Because as soon as I said that,
Right,
Stephen, you
yeah.
used the thing to walk next to him, I'm
Well,
like, crap.
I didn't want him to aggro me, so I
Yeah.
was, I wanted to get
But
perspective.
he turned that off because obviously
yeah,
he
yeah.
wanted, he had to be able to fight.
Obviously, he
And you saw
died.
that, Stephen died a couple times there.
Yeah, and
If you were looking at the UI.
I might have been the only person that died, but just to be clear, remember that we are still in our journey to Alpha 2. And as a result of that journey, the phase of development that we are currently in with the project doesn't really emphasize polish or performance or optimization. So you're
That
gonna
was
see
pretty good.
some.
I like that.
Oh,
I like
my
that
pen,
comment.
'cause I was taking notes from chat. You're gonna see some you're going to see some room for improvement there, right? Also, I'm running this, on a 4K monitor and 4K stream, and I'm streaming at the same time, or excuse me, recording at the same time. So, some of the FPS is going to get improved. It'll be much better. But yeah, let's get to some of the questions that you guys had in chat about the boss.
Yeah. And also, I know we had mentioned that we were talking about whether Keith had designed the model, and Keith did design the model. So just wanted to clarify on that front. But the first question we have here is, Tumok didn't leave footprints behind like our player characters did. Will big creatures like that, or any creatures, leave behind footprints?
Yeah, so general overpopulation mobs will not leave footprints. However, the larger monsters like this and raid bosses and dungeon bosses, they will have footprints. They were just not enabled for him in this showcase yet.
And then, what are the respawn rates on world bosses? That's a very generic question.
It depends. It depends on the world boss. We want to. The general philosophy is that respawns will be variable. We don't want to have set specific times in which respawns will occur, so that they can be kind of camped and farmed. But there'll be variable location respawns as well as variable time respawns.
Okay.
And then that's kind of provides
what
opportunities
if
for different
they
parties
attacked him
to
right
engage
here
at different times
instead of that arena where he kind of ended at? Like,
cool. And then
I think it would
I'm
have
also
been a
playing
totally
this in the
different fight,
background,
or
so you
it
guys
could
are
be.
getting to see it a little bit more while we talk. Next one here is, will Tumuk destroying trees affect the growth and replenishment of trees in the world? And also, if animals hunt one another, will that affect respawn rates of those animals?
Astute observation, whoever asked that question. Yes, the answer is yes. There are land management systems that we've talked about in the past, and there is certain interactions that can occur that can affect those systems. So yes.
Cool.
Him knocking down trees too long is not going to be a good thing for the area.
Yeah, so you probably want to, as much as he was just going for a stroll, because I saw someone in chat was laughing. I told Steven, I was like, I love this comment. Someone in chat was like, of course he's mad and raging. He was just going for a walk, a little stroll, and you guys are killing him. You're monsters.
Hey, this guy is responsible for some pretty horrific things. So he's not just an innocent Cyclops out for a stroll. Let's be clear.
He's siding with the baddies.
Yeah.
And the next one here is, will ground shake for large bosses be something that we'll see in the future? Can you turn off the screen shake?
That's a good question.
There is something to be had there about those types of screen shake effects. We want them to be present when we're emphasizing certain things, but we don't want them to be a nuisance or annoying or too plentiful. And having screen shake apply to every step would probably be too abundant. Will players have control over those on-screen type effects? Yeah, I think so. I think that's something we want to provision as a customizable option for players to be able to turn off, because it can be somewhat nauseating for certain groups of people.
That's cool.
And a distraction from what's happening in the world.
Totally cool.
And then, will world bosses become different or higher level as in node levels? How will these world bosses scale when it comes to player levels? Is it based on players or the zone? Players or the zone. Yeah.
So the question was... Sorry, I missed the first part.
Yeah. Will world bosses become different or higher level as nodes level? Is the first part of that.
Yes. Okay. So world bosses are pretty defined in their challenge rating. And we don't have an approach that is scaling for content, right? We feel that kind of cheapens the content when you apply a scaling mechanic, so that this content is constantly relevant. There are ways that the world responds and changes to the node's development. Those are prescribed, those are curated, those are meaningful, and we want them to be experienced by the players, but not all content is going to be scalable like we've seen in some modern
Makes
MMOs.
sense.
And then the other
you guys
part
got
of
any
that,
thoughts
yeah,
about,
I guess was, will world bosses scale when it comes to player levels, and is it based on players or the zone itself leveling?
They will not scale based on player level, no. So this is a level 30 boss, and he will be relevant for a 9-level spread up or down from that level 30 position.
Okay.
Oh,
And then people are wondering, will bosses or the Cyclops actually get voice lines or things of that sort?
Yeah, bosses, certain bosses will have audio cues. That might be in the form of language. It might be in the form of indistinguishable sounds. But yes, bosses and some even creatures will have audio cues to use.
And then I do see some
not
folks
dialogue.
asking in chat regarding about, if this is an open world boss, then that means
Correct.
other players could attack me and my homies, and also attack the monster that I'm attacking, and how we plan to address that situation in regards to maybe
Yes.
large guilds coming in and
Sure.
murdering people
Sure.
and stealing their boss.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked about this in the past. Content in Ashes of Creation is divided into open world content and instanced content. The ratio of content division there is about 80-20, 80 being open world, 20 being instance. That remains true. When we talk about the ability for competition to exist around limited resources or scarcity, world bosses fall into that category of scarcity and or limited resources. They are essentially a resource that you can defeat
Makes
in order
sense.
to acquire things you need for your character progression. And as a result of that, it is healthy to encounter potential friction and or competition with other groups of players who are interested in acquiring that scarce resource. And we don't want to address that situation. That is the element of the game design that is risk versus reward. You're taking the risk in encountering this open world content, and your reward for successfully doing so are the resources you can acquire by that effort. Now, there are mechanisms, there are tools, there are systems that allow for you to establish reputations with these other groups of players, to pursue them outside of this encounter, to hinder them in such a way where they might think twice whether or not they want to engage with your
Retaliation.
group. There are avenues that can be taken, both political as well as systemic, where players can engage with those factions. And it's important to note that Ashes of Creation is a non-faction based game. What that means is you're not told who your enemy and your friend is. You are not restricted with the
Good.
players that you
Good.
can participate in content with. Instead, that choice is left to you, the players. And that is an element of the sandbox environment that we're trying to create with Ashes
I
of
love it.
Creation.
I love that whole idea.
All right. And then the next question here is less about the Cyclops boss. And people were noticing that folks were carrying around these blue orby type of things, and they were wondering what those are.
Oh, I believe, yeah, good call. I think that's the first time we've actually shown those.
Yeah.
So those
what are
sigils. Oh, I'm sorry, not sigils. Ah, my mind is totally blanking right now. Those are essentially acumen instruments that you can use to enhance your spell casting. They replace a shield offhand item.
Oh,
That players can, somebody in Slack, if you can remember the name of those things, shoot it over to me real quick in a DM. But yeah, those are essentially offhand items that players can use in order to enhance their casting ability and or healing and whatnot. They are called
It's like
focuses.
spell
Thank you.
focus.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, spell focus. Thank you.
Mhm. And that is it. We're going to have many
And by the
other
way,
things. Okay, go ahead.
real quick, the
Yeah.
spell focuses can take many different forms. You saw an orb there. The spell
be a
focus
book.
could be a book. It could be a shrunken head. It could be,
oh, that's
something
cool.
kind of really
I
interesting.
smell
But it's a
cosmetic
way
items.
for non-shield users or non-sigil users to incorporate an element into their offhand if they want to be a one-handed weapon user.
That's very cool.
Cool.
I like that.
And of course, we could be here all day if we answered questions forever, but we do have some other things to show you
My
all,
son's sitting
and
over
we
there.
do have some other questions to get to from the forums. But as always, we would love your feedback. We will have a Cyclops combat preview / live stream feedback thread that's going to be over
Good,
on our
good.
forums.
I hope people
Please
throw
definitely go
their
check it out and give
their
us some
thoughts and
thoughts.
comments.
As Steven said, this helps us ensure that we're moving forward in the right direction. So please give us some of your thoughts. And I know sometimes it can be hard because you're like just watching something versus experiencing it. But when you get into Alpha 2, you'll be able to experience it and give us that side of the feedback as well. So we'll get both ends of it, but at least we can address some of your concerns just from visually seeing it as well. And with that, unless you have anything else, Stephen, I'm going to head on over to our character goodies.
No,
Character goodies. What do we got?
All right. Moving on. As you
Fish.
maybe noticed, we've been doing some profession goodness. You've been seeing some trees and lumberjacking, and we're working towards some good old fishing. There are a lot of fish that have been being created. Some of them are very strange looking, as I'm sure y'all will see here. But Chris,
They all look normal
Jan,
so far.
Jinsey, and Priscilla and Keith have been making a ton of them. So the seas of Vera will be plenty.
A little weird.
You will definitely be
but
getting
I'm sure
your
that's
fill
something
of
that
good fishies to cook and fish up and trade.
could have been
I'm
unearthed.
excited for y'all to see those.
They look
They're
stupid,
gorgeous.
those fish. Like mentally.
I love the little fish. They're so good.
Some of them are a little horrifying.
As rightfully they should be.
Why do these have little vampire fangs?
A
There
few of them
are-
I feel like the chat is going to have thoughts about.
They say
Like the
that
lamprey are the grossest.
They say that
So
the
far,
night
nothing
is dark
seems
and full of
weird.
terror, but what
Like-
they really forget is that the seas are deep and full
Yeah.
of horror.
Have you ever gone scuba diving or anything like that?
I have. One time we had a guild. So my guild, I always used to have these like trips that we would take, some of our officers and some guild members and stuff. And one year we went to Hawaii, and there was like 13 of us, and none of us had scuba dived before except for one person, I think, in the party. And I chartered this boat to take us out to go scuba diving. And they're like, "Well, you have to go through this like process, the certification thing."
You're like,
and
nah.
I was like, just take us out somewhere that's cool, and we'll just kind of jump in the water and do our thing. And so one of our
so
friends, who's a
Steven
big
died.
boy, he got into his swimsuit and he gets in with this snorkel, and they're teaching him the little device, that the buoyancy thing that takes you up or down. You press the button, and they're teaching him the hand signals. So like, this is swimmer's okay, this is like not okay, or whatever, right? And we're underwater, and he's like floating up here. He can't get his mask thing on very well, and he's pressing the button because he's kind of sinking. And as he's slowly sinking under the water, he's pressing the wrong button, and he doesn't know.
Yeah, he's pressing
And
the
he's
button
just-
to make it go up.
Yeah,
up.
he's pressing the button to make him go down, but he thought he was pressing the button to make him go up. And so his
Oh.
face is just falling like under the water. He doesn't have his mask on. And in his last words of moment, he just says, "I'm going to need some help here." And then he goes under the water.
Oh,
And
no.
my ear was bleeding. And like John wanted to swim to shore. We're like a mile and a half out.
Oh my
It was just a terrible.
This sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah,
I had
it
a
was
lovely
crazy.
time scuba diving, complete opposite of that. But I think one of the things that is, because you were saying how like it's dark and full of terrors, but I think that
Yes.
the beauty of being underwater is it's like so quiet, but there's like a lot of life going on around you, which I think is really
Yeah.
exciting.
Some of
it
which
was-
want to eat you.
Yeah, there were
Right.
some sharks, like tiger sharks,
Stephen.
that swam by us,
Right.
but the people that we were with that were taking us they were like, they're not interested in you. They have enough food here, so as long as you're not,
I have a
being
fear
aggressive
of like
towards them.
wide open spaces, and anytime I can't see what's beneath me and it's just like darkness, that scares me. And so being in the water, out in the middle of the ocean, where I don't have a corner to back against and just like see where my threat lives, like
Mm.
I just feel like at any moment some giant
That's-
shark is just going to come out of the depths of darkness.
That's
and
fair,
eat me or
Stephen. I
something.
The
understand
Kraken
that-
just comes
that
up
fear.
and takes
Yeah,
Steven.
no, totally. Like my mind, just the amount of fantasy games and movies that I've watched, like I just go to a dark place immediately and thinking about some kraken like monster.
See, I have the opposite. I think for me in the water, I think because I can swim and move and maneuver, I'm okay. It's heights for me because I can see what's down there and I can see how far away it is to me, and it horrifies me that I might fall and to my death.
No, I'm with you on the heights too. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
All right, moving on from that. Now that we're all horrified by underwater creatures and heights, we also got
Pigs,
piglets.
yellow
You've been
pigs.
seeing sheep, cows, piglets. We're getting the farming and profession stuff going, which is really exciting.
That head looks weird. though.
I'm super excited for freeholds and farms.
don't know why it
I
looks
love
weird
farming and
to
games.
me.
It's so fun. Next up, we've got a Tidebreaker Riverlands variant. I love their beards.
Is it like a
They're so cute.
otter?
They're so good.
They're
Oh,
so
it's
cute. They
tiebreaker,
look
they
like
Look at
Never mind.
them.
just grumpy otters,
Yeah.
and I'm into it. The next one here is our Hydra swans,
Oh.
and then we also have like a variant of it. So for those of you who have the regular Hydra swan, which thank you for supporting us. We also have the variant here. And Steven,
So
I saw that
cool.
you gave a story behind how this came to be.
Yes.
You
Looks
talked about it on
weird.
Twitter. I don't know if you want to share that with folks who maybe don't use Twitter.
Oh, I just, geese and swan in general are just wretched creatures. Like they're beautiful, but they're mean as all hell. And when I was a kid, we used to live on a lake, or live near a lake, and I would go feed these things. And when they had babies, I didn't know that they got protective, and they would fly and attack me as I'm trying to climb away from them and peck me in the back and just.
Oh,
I vowed from
Steven.
that day
He's
forward
traumatized.
that if I ever created an MMO at 7 years old, I was thinking to myself, maybe I'll make an MMO one day. That I would
Traumatized.
create this as a creature. No, actually, I made it in our Ashes of Creation original Pathfinder campaign, a Hydra Swan. I just took the template of the actual Hydra monster and I gave him a bunch of beak attacks. So they were like D6s -2 or something. And it was like level 2 party. And they're like, oh my God, it's a Hydra Swan. I'm like, yeah, don't feed it bread. It'll kill you.
That's really funny. I love that. I might have to pull that on one of my people in the future for one of my campaigns. We got this lovely snake boa.
What the hell is that?
Super
I love
cool.
that they did the apple thing with it.
So that's really tiny, though.
The animations that our team always comes up with for things is amazing. The little intricacies. And then we've got the 7th Lancer uniform.
Oh, it looks great.
It's pretty cool.
Yes. They look so scary. Oh, I have those backwards. We've got the diadem for our royal folks out there.
Oh, crown, I guess.
Oh,
Gray
yeah.
Shore conveyor.
Super cool.
Got some arcane garbs.
That's cool. All right. I don't care
who
for
made
the
the
hat,
arcane
but
garbs?
The arcane garbs were by Jan.
Oh, Jan, those look great.
I have all the names for everybody this time because
I
Steven
like how
always asks
Steven's
me, and I'm like,
surprised sometimes.
I
Like,
don't
who
know.
is this
There's a
person?
million art pieces.
Who did
Gloom
the variant for the
the
otter?
Hydrus one.
No, the otter.
Oh, that's Jinsey. That's Jinsey work right there.
Love it. Looks
This
so
is
good.
the gloom root.
Yeah, it's a cool little wizard hat.
We've got the
I think we've
Jade Sigil
already saw that.
coming to fruition.
Oh, that looks great. Who
The
did that one?
mercenary one looks really great. The Jade Sigil one was Jan as well.
Jan, great job.
And same with the Merc set here.
Oh, wow. Very
Yes.
nice.
And then we've got another plate set.
I do like their medieval
Jan's just killing it.
European style armors that
Get
they
some,
have
Jan.
mostly. They're really
And
good.
then we've got the Trowlers, the part of the Trowlers outfit.
It's a turtle shell?
I believe
Aw.
I have an MP.
There it is.
Yes.
Speaking
Here
of
we go.
fishing,
Yes. This set was really fun to design.
can you use the hat as the
boat?
the thing you carry, but you just flip it over and put all the fish in it and hold it like up?
I was thinking you could either put fish in it or you could float in it, was my thought when I was designing it. Because sometimes they would use these to get like fish in, yeah.
Looks
or
like it
to
has
scoop
holes,
the fish
though.
up.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good call. That's a good call.
Well, you put the fish on the net on the outside.
Oh, okay.
And then
They should have had one fish.
Yeah, it's cool. And
To
then we
demonstrate
have
that.
the Ice Heart corsage being worked on. Still work in progress.
That's cool.
Very nice.
And I believe that is it from the art department. By it, I mean like they've got a lot of stuff, but that is what we'll be showing today. Thank you,
Very
amazing
cool.
artists. Killing it as per usual.
Great.
Moving on to our forum questions, I will also just
Ooh,
keep the video of the
Q&A
Cyclops
time.
fight in the background so
Generally my
you
favorite.
Right.
and have something to
Favorite.
look at whilst
Sure.
I ask the questions. First question is from Nick. Oh wait, actually let's do studio updates.
Oh,
studio
no,
update.
Yeah,
not
let's
studio
start with
update.
studios, and then I'll
Yeah, that's
to
a
Nick's
good
question.
Steven's like, I got nothing.
What have been
Yeah.
our studio updates for this month? Well, I think our general studio update has been that we're continuing to hire.
Lots. We hired a
That's
lot
always-
within like even the last month.
I know. Yeah, I think we've hired 7 people this year so far.
Oh, this year.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Great talent added to the team. Amazing individuals. Thank you guys for your help out there and spreading the word for the project and supporting us, because that obviously helps talent get attracted to working on this awesome game.
We have so many people where we have to expand. We're getting another
Correct.
floor.
We have another floor incoming, another 30 some odd thousand square feet.
Oh, wow.
It'll be nice. We got some construction that'll be starting here in the next month or so. That's going to be an interesting juggling act. But
I hope
yeah,
the studio
don't know, help me.
lasts.
Is
I
there anything
really
that I'm
do.
missing in the month of studio updates?
I think
I don't
we
know. It's just
covered
been
it.
heads down.
Yeah,
it's just been
been hiring a lot. It's been everybody working really hard towards our milestones. I know we talk about these, and you guys don't have context of like the timelines for them, but we have sprints, and then we have a certain amount of sprints within a milestone, and so like these are ways for us to track in order to see how far we're coming along. And we have like a big milestone coming up, end of July.
Yes.
Or end of June. Early
June, yeah.
July. So, people are just powering through this last sprint, working really hard and getting prepared for it.
Good.
So,
What is
we're
it?
working hard to make sure that you guys get Alpha 2. That's obviously our next milestone. That's going to be external for you guys to be able to play test and experience. And, there will be some pre-tests before Alpha 2 that PI and, other folks will be able to enjoy and test out with us. Probably more NDA'd, and then we'll get into more of the testing that's expansive, that everyone gets to see and check out.
What is he
Steven,
doing?
I noticed someone said something about a mug, and
the mug looks so small back there. When Steven put it down, I was like, it looks so tiny, and then he picks it up and it's
baby
like
mug. It's a baby mug.
Yeah, I'm really excited for merch. I know that people have been asking about it. I think it's a balancing act of some folks want it, some folks are like, why are you selling merch?
Just sell it. Who
but
cares?
we're working towards it,
Oh,
homies.
Yes, we are working
Yeah.
towards that. And in addition, I will give a brief kind of statement that in the near future, over the coming, I would say, few months, we will be discontinuing our pre-order packages. We'll be making that announcement when it happens, but the number of participants that we have for Alpha 2 as it stands currently is significant. And until we are certain that we want to host additional players at some point in the next 3 months, I would say probably, we will be discontinuing those packages, and we'll have updates if we want to offer different packages at some point in the future after the Alpha 2 testing succeeds. So look forward to that announcement. We'll give you ample time ahead of time so that if there are individuals who still want to participate, they'll have an opportunity to do so. But I did want to give that heads up.
Right.
That's a good heads up for people,
and
for sure.
As Steven said, we will give heads up. We'll make in a news post about those things. We'll make you guys clear. We always do an FAQ for those types of things as well, usually. So we try to answer the questions in advance, or if questions come up, we update our FAQ to include that. So we will give more information as those things come online and come to fruition. But we have been hearing your feedback. There are things that Steven and I and Brian Langford, who you've seen on the channel before, and Jacob, who's our lead producer.
I think I caught Margaret off guard.
Then-
We didn't intend to
Yeah,
make that
you
announcement.
didn't tell me
But
that.
I wanted
that's
to
okay.
give enough. I wanted to give enough lead time. Just
Yeah,
say.
I think
transparent that
preemptively giving
this is
people
what we're talking.
expectations.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So that means
it's
they
definitely
must have
something that
so many
we're working
people
towards.
have
And
signed up for the
obviously,
pre-order.
I've been bringing this to Steven's attention for a long time of
Yeah,
like
it's gotta
folks'
be
feedback
crazy.
in regards
Oh,
to
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
But there are reasons why we do have the cosmetic packs.
Yes.
And they have been assisting us in many ways. So thank you all so much for helping us. And it's also pushing forward a lot of the content. So we'll still probably have some semblance of
They'll
cosmetics,
probably-
but
my
maybe
guess is
they'll
they
be
will-
less exclusive and more rotational, things like
Yes.
that.
I don't want to say
So if you do
this.
have thoughts, feel free to, let us know. We're
If they're
always
shutting down
interested in hearing
the
them. We've definitely been reading your feedback.
viewers
We've heard
like
it.
that,
And we're
They,
going to be making
they're
some
probably going to do it a
adjustments.
month or two prior
Yes.
to
All right.
release
Yes,
it out
this is
to
the thing we've
my
been
kids.
discussing. Was not prepared for that.
I know. I'm so sorry. I mean, we know the direction. We know what we're gonna do. So I just thought I'd give the heads up.
Yeah,
Because I know
I'm
people.
fine with
People like to watch and see what the cosmetics are before they choose to whether or not they want to actually purchase a package. And
Yeah,
I wanted to let them know, like, we're months away from that being discontinued. So if you are interested in something,
Make an investment.
Get
watch
it,
for
yeah.
the next. That's yeah, exactly.
for sure. And then next
So this
up,
is when
we
you
do have
sell
a
your
Q&A, so
your
we'll get
crappy
to that. And as I mentioned before, I'll have the
cosmetics.
Cyclops fight in the background. So our first question here is from Nick about party dynamics. Can we hit our party mate to wake them up from slumber, perhaps if both of us are flagged? So I guess if someone gets slept.
Not your party mate, because you can't flag against your party mate. That is a restriction that's not allowed.
Okay.
However, if you were not in a party, yes, you could attack them to wake them up and break the sleep. In addition, there will also be spells that can be cast to break enchantments, and sleep is one of the enchantments that can be broken through the spell cast. So if you have a cleric in your party or a bard, they'll have an ability to kind of to remove the negative debuff.
Makes sense.
And
All right.
kind of going back to the previous discussion we had in the studio update regarding cosmetic packs, if you have a Kickstarter pack, you can still upgrade that. So
Correct, yeah.
that'll still be upgradable.
Cool.
And as we've said in the past, before we decide to discontinue the upgrade paths for the Kickstarters, we will give ample notice as well for that.
Yes. And then Volts wants to know about PvP quests. Will there be quests that players can put players against each other / encourage PvP? For example, an organization's quest for the Traders Guild contradicted by a Thieves Guild quest.
Yeah, absolutely. There are quests that interact with PvP. PvP is not a secondary component of the game. PvP is an equitable component of the game. Remember, we are a PvX game, which means that we emphasize both PvE quest lines and story modes and content as well as PvP. It is an intended design theory for Ashes of Creation that the world is not filled with just your friends. The world is also filled with adversaries. And because of that, we will provide opportunities to encourage social friction, and that may be in the form of these PvP-oriented quest lines.
That's cool.
All right.
I like it.
And then our next one is about looting from Azare. Will it be possible to kick a player from a party or raid just before killing a boss, or to deny them from their share of the loot?
Will it be possible to, I'm sorry, say that last part. Will it be
Will
possible
it be
to do what?
possible to kick a player from your raid, like right before you do loot, so that they don't get to be part of the loot?
Yes, technically it would be possible for you to kick a player prior to
But you'd be a
acquiring
shithead.
loot. However, again, because we are a game that relies on social interactions, there are reputations to be had. And if you acquire a reputation as a raid leader or as a party leader of doing something dirty like that, then it's unlikely you'll be able to garner the support of future party members and or raids to lead efforts against these raid bosses. So keeping that in mind.
Right. And Hrothgar wants to know about respawning. Will there be a custom respawn, or will there be custom respawn points that can be placed by players in the open
Good
world,
question.
or only checkpoint based respawn points like the nearest graveyard / city to respawn?
Yeah, there will not be custom respawn points that can be placed in the world.
You could cheat and
And
do some
Gartok
weird
wants to
stuff with that.
know about
Sure.
open world distractions. Since travel times are important, what is there to discover that will distract you from going straight to your initial destination? What
A
makes
giant orc.
traveling adventurous in Vera?
Well, aside from threat and opportunity, which are probably the two biggest distractions that you can encounter while traveling through Vera, those come in different forms. Threat in the form of monsters and events, opportunities in the forms of resources and POIs. There's also achievements that are based around exploration. There's treasure maps that can be found. There's a lot of different things that kind of intersect with travel. The movement of resources, the storage of those resources, in which locations, what are available to be sold and purchased at different locations. They might make you detour for you. All of those things kind of contribute to why I would go somewhere and instead change my direction.
Right. And then Kestai wants to know about double jumping. Have you considered implementing double jumping into the game at
Yeah,
all?
don't do
Maybe
it.
not with player characters, but possibly with mounts, since there is already flying and gliding.
Yeah,
Maybe with
we
them,
have.
yeah.
We've considered double jumping for as essentially as a mount ability as well. We've considered double
Hopping
jump as
mounts,
an option. Yeah, exactly.
like frogs and bunnies.
That's right. Get a little Smash Bro actions in there too. A little
And
triple jump.
next up, we've got DougBug27, which is just an adorable username. Ranged melee is their topic. After watching the mage yield the greatsword, I wondered if the ranger archetype will have melee-oriented abilities to allow for a more balanced fighting style, or will the bow always be bay?
So
Bay.
a ranger definitely exemplifies range, meaning that the majority of their skill tree will likely be abilities that are based on range. However, that does not preclude them from having options in their skill suite to spec into melee-based ability types. Right? We're not creating a very singularly focused ranger. They will have the opportunity to comprise a skill rotation set that includes melee options, utilities, mobilities, ranged options as part of the class kit.
And then Golid wants to know about AoE dynamics. In many PvP MMOs, AoE spam can quickly become the meta and be difficult to balance with simple
That's
damage
true.
adjustments. More recent MMOs solve this problem by not having the same layered AoE spell stack damage at all. What is Intrepid doing to combat AoE spam?
We have a few ideas on how we want to approach AoEs. There's a vein of thought that is regarding diminishing returns, maximum number of targets. I'm not a huge fan of that. There is diminishing return as it applies to damage conveyed. There is just the fact that we're a collision-based game and there's a limited number of bodies that can be located in a particular choke point or in proximity. There's still things that we're testing especially as part of Alpha 2, that we'll likely be testing and wanting to get player feedback on as it relates to curbing the AoE approach of most raid comps. And a lot of different games have done a lot of different things to achieve that. We're going to be testing a lot of these different directions and finding which works best for Ashes.
Right. And then Sunscript wants to know about dual wielding. If the dual wield system is flexible, will there be a reliable way to activate the weapon procs of the offhand weapon?
If the dual wield specs are, say that one more time.
Flexible. Will there be a reliable way to activate the weapon procs of the offhand weapon?
So dual wielded weapons, I believe, have a designated weapon skill tree that's based on the combination of dual wielded weapons. And so based on the type of dual wield weapons, will determine the available procs in the weapon skill tree. Will there be a way to reliably ensure that procs take effect? Is that the question? Because no, I would say that you can't reliably create a scenario. Yeah, exactly. You can't reliably create a scenario where the proc takes effect. Now, that's not to say that there aren't certain skills that you can use as part of a rotation that might create a scenario where you're ensured your next weapon attack will trigger a proc. There could be synergies there between the skill rotation and the weapon skill tree. But I would say no, by the very nature of what a proc is, they're not.
Sometimes
reliable.
people need to proofread their questions.
That's why they proc.
Or they just need to not pick questions that are
And Phantom MX
weird,
wants to know about crafting. How close are we to seeing a showcase on crafting?
We are pretty
They're
close.
like next month.
Pretty close.
I think you've been seeing kind of
like
some of those
2
things
months,
coming.
3 months.
We had like what it was like 6 months ago. We did a the gatherables one, but the crafting one is pretty close. So stay tuned.
I look forward to that one. Because that could make or break the game for me, really.
With that, that's our last question for today.
Oh my goodness!
I know
That wasn't
it's not.
bad.
That wasn't many.
Sometimes we have like 2-hour long streams.
Margaret was like, "Don't make an hour-long video," and I was like, "Wait, what?"
I'm always like, try to make it like 15 to 20 minutes. Here's your run of show, and then it it goes
that's funny.
chaos. But you guys enjoy it. You always enjoy watching them. Hopefully, you've been enjoying the new format that we've been doing recently and liking that. We always take your feedback, so please
New format.
send
What
it
do you
our
mean?
way. And we hope that you have enjoyed getting a little
Streams
sneak
are okay,
peek
as
of
long as
one
they
of
don't
our boss fights.
blab about
We want
random
your
stuff
feedback,
too
so
much.
definitely head on over to
Or
forums.ashesofcreation.com
get hyper
and
focused on something.
send us your feedback. We will also have a boss mechanic dev discussion coming up that will be not specific to Cyclops. So we would love to get your thoughts on that. Make sure that you read those prompts. You don't necessarily have to give feedback just on those prompts, but give us feedback on that so that we can report that to the development team. And of course, we want to extend a huge thank you to you all for coming here and watching us live, or if you're watching us on YouTube, we appreciate you. And of course, to the developers who joined us today, Trad, Jason, and Doug, we appreciate y'all joining us. And of course, Stephen, we know that your time is very, very valuable. So we hope that you all, are staying safe and healthy. And reminder that the VOD will be up on the 4K VOD will be up on our YouTube channel shortly. So stay tuned. And we'll also have the full development update over on our YouTube channel tomorrow. And if you leave a comment on the full development update and you're subscribed and you have it so that we can see that you're subscribed, you may get your comment spotlighted. So yeah,
Maybe.
you could be spotlighted on the next stream. And of course, follow us on all of the social platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever is your jam. We try to keep you guys up to date and share lots of goodies with you almost every day. So if you're interested in more ashes and barren goodness in your life, come check it out. And with that, we're going to wrap up for today. We hope that you have a great rest of May. It's the rest of this day. That's it. We're in June, you guys. It's madness.
Gosh, no.
And we'll see you for our June development update.
Bye, everyone.
Toodles.
Well, that wasn't too bad, guys. That Cyclops gameplay was, I thought was really good. Obviously glitchy and stuff, it's early on. And that's fine. And I'm totally expecting it at this point, in the development stage. I thought the combat looked really fun. I liked how the boss was all over the place with a lot of movement. I wish they didn't do it in a predetermined location like that. What they call it, the arena. I wish they did it on the side of a hill, somewhere random, like where he was in the river forest, where they first saw Tolmok, or whatever his name is, the Cyclops. If they had seen him first there, and then just jumped him, I wanted to see how the battle changed, how the pathing of the boss was as it fought. It fought the team. I wouldn't be upset or opposed to Steven putting himself into invincible, aggroing him, and then just letting, like, in the middle of the forest, and just watching how he interacts with Steven and runs around, does all the attacks, stuff like that. I think that'd be really cool. I can't wait to see how, like, the Bard class, any Beastmaster kind of stuff, Necromancer, how all that'll play effect into all these boss battles in the open world. Obviously, I know that boss is a level 30 boss, so he said it's a 9 level range. That means it's between level 21 and 39 is what is meant for participation there. Obviously, you can get people that are level, let's say, 50 or 100 or whatever the max is to join in. They did say that was an early on boss. That was the first boss you'd probably experience. And if that's level 30, I wonder what the max level is. It might be 100, honestly. I don't think they've said what it is firmly, but I feel like 100 would be a really solid level for the game, for the max level. Then they could add like 10 levels on each time if they did some major expansion, like a new world, like a new continent maybe. That'd be a huge deal. maybe new content would be like 25 levels, 20 levels, something big to really emphasize it. So that'd be cool. But overall, I liked the whole. Just the combat video was really nice. I really liked it. I'm probably gonna go back and watch the whole thing with my son. He loves that stuff. He's gonna be gaming with me in the Ashes. So that'll be cool. But yeah, if you guys got any comments, questions, whatever, throw it in the comments section of the videos. Especially on YouTube, obviously. Facebook, you can comment on later. I'll be honest, I don't focus on Facebook too much, but it is fun to have, and people do watch me there and leave comments, so go find me. Speaking of that. There's my socials, squeetee.com, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. 99% of my stuff is on YouTube, so go check me out there. What else? I'm trying to do Kick, but I want to multi-stream to Kick, and it's not working with what I have set up right now, for whatever reason. What else do I got? Yeah, that's about it. I plan to do some Starship Troopers Extermination streaming this weekend, so come on back and watch me. I wanted, for some reason, I have an urge to play Star Trek Starfleet Command 3, I think is the name of it. I had the second one. Way back in the day, it was like the original series theme ships versus like a Klingon war. That was real fun. Really difficult. I was 12 and I just didn't understand what was going on, and I didn't really do the tutorials. So it was real hard. So I want to do the third one. Never played it. Should be fun. It's got like modern for when that game came out ships. So that should be cool. What else we got? I think that's about it, guys. So yeah, I do appreciate it all. Thanks for coming on by and watching. I saw we had a bunch of people coming and going. Like I said, like, subscribe, share me, and come back again. I will do better at making some videos, especially around this. Maybe I'll do a whole breakdown of the boss battle, my thoughts on it. That sounds like fun. It's just time consuming, and honestly, right now some of that is a little difficult to do. To get the creative juices going to develop that stuff and work through it, which is all the stuff I got going on in my life. Mainly work. But it's summertime, son's not in school, so that should be easy too to get some stuff going. But what else? That's all, guys. Anyways, I'll let you go. Thanks for watching. I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.